Hello, Internet. I have a camera, I have toys, I have what I hope to be better lighting than I did before, and today I'm looking at the Robot Spirits Dragonair-1 Custom. For those of you looking at this familiar with Gundam, it might look kind of similar to a Gundam. Dragonair was kind of made by Sunrise, who also produced Gundam in the late 80s. It's kind of a back-to-basics Gundam story. Earth Federation versus Space Rebellion, teenagers falling into cockpits, etc., etc. So, very similar Gundam. For those of you looking at this saying, hey, it looks like the Dragon Fang from Platinum Hugon Ordeon, congratulations, you know my insanity. So Dragonar-1 Custom is the mid-series upgrade of the main hero of the show, and the original design was by Kunio Okawada of Gundam fame. This figure is actually based off the design of the machine from the opening animation, which was done by Masami Obari, who's probably most well known for directing Gravion and the Fatal Fury motion picture anime, as opposed to any live action one, which I don't know if that exists. If you watch a lot of robot anime and know what to look for, you'll actually see Obari doing a lot of stuff everywhere, which is awesome in my mind because I really like his design work. And I think his design work translates to this figure very well. He likes a lot of sharp angles. He likes lots of kind of blockiness for like good shading areas, and he likes things that can express themselves much like actual people do, and it comes through in the opening, and like I said, I think it comes through in this figure pretty well. Some of my favorite parts of Dragonar 1 is actually the design of the head. I particularly like this red bit up here, and the way it kind of slopes out over the face, and the way the two little bits of the helmet come under. It just looks very sleek, very sharp, very, you know, badass is a word I tend to use when involving body's design work, and I think this figure fits that. I also like how the whole figure's frame kind of shows through, and it looks like it just kind of has as much armor, or I should say as little armor as they could muster, fit on top. Like, the armor on the arms, it doesn't even wrap around the front. It's just, here's internal skeleton, here's some shoulders, here's a little bit here, a little bit more on the legs, but just overall, like even on the back, it doesn't even wrap around. I like that design. It's very evocative of something that's supposed to be agile. And then just kind of contrasting that, you have these enormous and asymmetrical shoulders, which, like, they're kind of weird, but I really like them just because they're different. They're not Gundam shoulders, and they are not, you don't often see asymmetry in hero robots anyway. I mean, I could be wrong, but like Gundams, I can't think of any that are really asymmetrical in the shoulders. Usually it's like something in the backpack. So I think that's really cool in this design. Okay, for posing, he's pretty darn posable. Head, you've got a double ball joint, much like figure arts. You can't look up too much due to this red bit on the back. Can go down pretty well, and then rotation isn't really hindered, nor is head tilting, so that's nice. Shoulders, you've kind of got a double ball joint here, which lets it, you know, do whatever it wants. And then the shoulders, shoulder armor, I should say, just rotates around on its own separate hinge, and even this part will move on its own, just so it can get out of the way and move flush with whatever you want to do it with. So you never have it like that, which is kind of silly, or I think that's how it's supposed to be. You've got a bicep rotation, which is nice. This is actually a ball joint. I know this because it's kind of popped off a few times, but it just plugs right back on. But there's nothing aside from rotational here. Single joint in the elbow, but the way it's designed gives you enough clearance to do almost what double jointed elbows could do. So I'm not going to super complain about that. No forearm rotation, which I kind of wish it had, just because this bit goes over the hand, which means there's a few poses that would be made a bit easier if the forearm could rotate, but again, it's not a huge issue. And then the hands are the figure art style. At least I'm assuming, I'm going to call them figure art style because I think figure arts predates Robot Spirits. But double ball joint with a hinge, so they can just do whatever you feel like them doing. Body, got a lot of curling and back bending motions possible because there's like 3 joints here in the torso. Do a little bit side to side, not a ton, and then the waist itself can rotate, I think, all around. No, it gets stuck going more than this, but still pretty good. Down here on the hips, focus on there, you've got 2 laser swords, which is what they're actually called, beam sabers if you're familiar with Gundam, lightsabers if you've ever watched Star Wars, all the same thing. These are actually on a nice rotation here, and they're actually separate, so like they can move together and then they can both do that, or you can just move this one, just whatever you want to do with them, which is nice. No movement here in the hips, or the hip armor I should say, which kind of blocks outward movement on the legs a bit. It's still enough hip motion for me, so I'm not going to complain. And then forward and back is just completely unimpeded. Yeah. Leg, you've got single jointed elbow, I think, but it's basically as good as a double joint. I always like the striping down here. It helps break up the what would otherwise be all white. You've also got vent detail down there. It's nice. Legs, you've got a ball joint up here in the leg, and then a hinge down here to do some toe pointing. So nice motion in the foot. And then this piece is on a simple ball joint, which can get out of the way. It also tends to pop off, but it just pops back on. Back of the legs, you've got sheathed knives, which actually are removable, which is a nice touch. They are tiny though, so I'll show them off more in the accessories bit, but I like how they are able to be sheathed and unsheathed. Slight disappointment is this round thing here is actually a bomb that it can throw. It's not removable. That's unfortunate. Ditto this gray thing in the shoulder. But minor nitpicks given everything else. On the wings, you've got some nice lined in wing flaps. You've got the missile launchers with the little red tips there. Vents right there on the back there. And turning it around, you've got lots of thrusters. More lining detail there. Probably pop if you wanted to put in some, like align it with a Gundam marker. I don't like to do that on figures like this just because I'm afraid I mess up, and I don't know, these are more expensive than Gundam kits. And finally, the wings can fold down like that should you so choose. Also, this is removable if you want. Like, I don't think it's really intended to be. It's probably just there as a safety breakage option or a storage option. So, and also I never got what this was on the shoulder. It could be another gun or a shaft launcher or something, but it's there. It's got a little hose attached to it, so I got no clue. But it does look cool. Like I said, posability is great. I can do anything I want it to, pretty much. So no complaints there. Aside from the minor ones I already said. Taking a look at the accessories, you've got, and you've already seen some of these on it, but you've got the hand railgun. I have a trigger finger already attached to it just for easy putting on and removing. It's got some really nice sculpt-in detail, even though it's mostly in gray. You do have a red kind of sight on it there. Got the handle can move out, so you can do a double holding pose with one of the other hands. You've also got this, which is a removable ammo clip. The arms also had ammo clips. They are not removable, so minor disappointment there on the arms, but I'd probably lose them, so I'm not really going to complain. And you've got the Super Hybrid Shield, which I love the name of because, as far as I can tell, it's just a shield. You've got the D1 listed on it. You've got some nice red and blue on there, along with the two different tones of gray. On the back, you've got some nice detail, and then the Made in China stuff, which is good at places I need to put it. It can either clip onto the arm through this, or be held with one of the holding things hands right there, as you choose. Also, these are both on ball joints, so you can swap them around if you like. You've got the two, as I showed before, two removable beam sabers. Nice detail there. Just plug it in like that, and you've got yourself a lightsaber, or a beam sword, or a laser sword, whatever they call it in the show. You've got the aforementioned combat knives. I like the serration on it. It's a very nice touch. Like I said, they didn't even have to throw these in. I forget this thing had combat knives half the time, but they're there. This, if you feel like mauling some things, double-bladed beam sword, laser sword, again, whatever. So this is actually fairly substantially long. I think it's about twice the size of the actual Dragonair. So that's pretty impressive looking. These are replacement antennae. They are made of a softer plastic than the ones it comes with, so it's nice to have. I prefer the hard ones, but should they ever break, I'll have extras. Then I probably should start with these. Hands. You've got 4 pairs. You have the aforementioned trigger hand, which is on the gun, and there are 2 of those. 2 of these wide open dynamic gesturing hands, which are very nice. 2 open hole sliding in knives or swords hands, and then traditional 2 fists, which were on it already. And finally, this is a clip tool out to attach to a stand of some kind. I'll show it off in a minute. It just clips onto the back skirt armor, and then the hole goes into it. It's made for a Tamashii stage, but you can use it with an action base as well. So, nice equipment load or accessory loadout. The actual equipment, what I consider to be kind of the bog standard real robot weapon setup, because you've got a gun, you've got beam swords, you've got a shield, you've got knives. So, yeah, there's one thing missing that I'll get to in a bit, but I can't really blame them for not putting it in here, so I'm content with what we got with all this. And then really quickly, from head to foot, Dragonar-1 foot to head. Dragonar-1 measures about 5 1/4 inches. If you add in the antennae, I'd say it's about 5 1/2. So, kind of usual size for robot spirits. I think the Gundam's actually a bit smaller, and I have an LFO, which is a bit bigger. And for comparison, because I said it was huge, the fully extended double beam sword actually comes up to 10 1/2 inches. I'll probably do this sideways just so you can actually see. Yeah, so pretty long there. So double the size of the actual robot. So to finish off, here it is up on the action base. It just connects right down here under the skirt armor and just plugs in. It would also work with Tamashii stage, but I had the action base handy, and action bases tend to be a bit cheaper than Tamashii stages. So, but yeah, in conclusion, it's a great figure. I think it's my favorite robot spirits that I have. Admittedly, I'm very biased toward liking Obari designs. So, when they announced they're doing Dragonar, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. When they said it was based on the opening version, I was like, must have this figure. So, take that into account when I'm saying that I like it. But it's extremely posable. It does any pose I can think of. It comes with every accessory except one, that being the photon bazooka, which would have been fairly large and probably added on to the already hefty cost of this thing. So I could see it as being the type of thing where they do a a set through their exclusive website. They've yet to do that, but yeah, it's just giant laser bazooka, so it's not a huge loss, but it would complete the package. But yeah, in conclusion, if you're a fan of Masami Obari designs, if you're a fan of 80s real robots, or if you're a fan of Gundams and this looks close enough to one, and again, you are okay paying $50 for an action figure, this is definitely worth it. So that'll be it for now, and until next time, I don't really have anything witty to say, so have fun!